I want to just show you a few habitats that we've got on this farm. Habitats that might give you an insight of maybe what rewilding would look like in about 20 years. So this area here in front of you was fenced off. I think it's about 18-20 years ago. Maybe it's a little bit longer, not 100% sure, but let me get over the fence. This is not recommended, but bloody hell, I'm getting too old for this. Now, you see this area? That now is just brambles, gorse. Of how thick? Very thick. Now, if we were going to rewild our countryside, there would definitely not be a lot of walking through this area, and this is a little bit scary because I'll take you to another piece of it because I can't get through there. Now again, what we can see here, hasn't been any grazing at all, so this is the last piece that still has grass on it. Okay, you can see all that is just brambles. There's a couple of little trees, but I want you to have a look at this now. We're in the middle of the winter and the wettest time. Now you look at that and you think, oh gosh, that's boggy ground. It's not boggy ground. It is just grass that has just died. Now you imagine this when it dies off again in the summer. It is just a fire hazard. It's tinder. And okay, so we might be able to have a few small habitats here, but the truth is, if we look at it, this area I don't think is producing anything, as in habitat wise. Lots of blackberries and scrub, but mainly we've got 2 trees. That's all that's grown here. So I'm going to show you another area we've got a little bit higher up that we do graze. So that's our little rewilding project, which is over 20 years old, which I would say is really a total disaster in my opinion, but you know, each to their own. We are now in Nant Dinas, and again, this is where our sheep will graze. And people say sheep and trees don't get on. They seem to get on very well here. And again, it's getting the balance. And as you can see, this place is absolutely amazing. Would have been an ancient woodland, and is an ancient woodland, as I say, and it's so full of birds, wildlife. A river down the bottom there. You can hear the birds singing. And in the spring, this place is just bouncing with life. And you can tell that these trees are ancient and where they are. And you know, there isn't much vegetation on the floor because the sheep are grazing around it, and that will help with any kind of fire hazards or, you know, other creatures as well. These are great habitats for different animals, and That's what we need on our farms. There's different habitats for different creatures. One habitat doesn't fit all. We need wetlands, you know, we need woodlands, definitely, in the right places. But we don't need to be rewilding. Rewilding, I believe, is a lazy word when we're turning our backs on the land and just letting it go to the demise. We need to manage our land in a sustainable and environmentally friendly way, and we need to feed the nation by producing food off it. So getting that balance is the way forward. So by rewilding our country and bringing in cheap imports from other countries that are produced inferior to us and pricing us out of the market, that is something hopefully the consumer and the customer will see, and they will support British agriculture, because it's very, very important that we get our message out there strong and get our message out there honestly, positively, so people have an understanding of how good we are at producing sustainable food in this country. And again, you can see this habitat here again. So much different vegetation up here. You know, we're said by so many of these so-called environmentalists we're overgrazed, sheep-wrecked, whatever it is. It's absolutely ridiculous. There has been problems in the past, and it would have been down to government policies. You know, headage payment. There was a lot of sheep in the 70s, and people just kept them because they got paid for them. All that's gone. So by blaming sheep for, you know, the so-called habitat loss is absolute ridiculous in my opinion. What we need to be doing is having an understanding of how good these habitats are and how we can use sheep as a grazing tool to produce better habitats together. And I just want to show you another part of the farm, which is another little valley we've got. And up here, especially around the river, see where the trees are taking hold. These are ancient Celtic remains down here. We've got round houses up the top there and long houses. You know, people have survived up here for absolute generations. Every now and again you find something that most probably would have fed something else. Dead sheep up here would have fed a lot of the wildlife, foxes, carrion and other creatures as well. And that's really important, you know, that people understand that in death there's new life. And as you can see, this place is absolutely beautiful. And again, a different habitat, but the river here and the trees. There's a little bit of brambles there where sheep don't tend to go there as much. And over here you can see some of the different growth. We do have quite a lot of bracken here as well, which can be quite a pain in the summer, be up to your head. But when that bracken dies, again you can see, you know, it will be feeding the soil. And you can see there's lovely little berries here for birds to feed on. We do have nest boxes up here as well. You know, we try to help the wildlife and nature in every way we can, and it's living with it. So when you hear our politicians and our so-called environmentalists saying we need to rewild, I think we need to work together to have an understanding of what's best for every single piece of land. No two pieces of land will be the same. I've just shown you 3 different landscapes within a very small area, and I could show you another 3 or 4 within that area as well, from blanket bog to heather. You know, all these different habitats will be homes for different animals, and it's important for us to remember that it's not one answer that fits all. So let's sit down and talk, let's have a conversation, let's make sure that we all understand what is the best for our countryside, for nature, for the environment. And we have to remember as well, farming families have lived off these areas for generations, producing wool and meat to feed our nation in a sustainable way. And let me tell you, I feel so fortunate to be living in such an amazing place. That's Dinas. That's an ancient Celtic hill fort, and believe it or not, this land was the first axe factory in the world, going back to Metholithic times. There's so much history here. Man has worked the land. Man has been part of the land. And let's not forget that. And that's how we need to go forward, by working together with an understanding of nature and the environment and its different habitats to get the best. Anyway, have a good day. Living the dream.